On today's show, a special journey across the North Atlantic. This Minnesotan invites us to France to discover the story behind VMC hooks. Fishing tackle with ties to Minnesota. Thing is, no American should take this trip without paying tribute here.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hey everybody, Laura and I welcome you to a very special edition of Minnesota Bound.
This Memorial Day weekend, many Minnesotans head north to do a little tubing and a whole lot of fishing.
But really, the holiday's about something more important. We're going to try and explain over the next half hour.
You see, Minnesota shares a unique tie with the country of France.
Yeah, it's a story that starts with these VMC fishing hooks, but ends with one of history's most defining moments.
The French coast of Normandy, so quiet, so tranquil. The region where a single day changed world history. On June 6, 1944, U.S. troops stormed these beaches and helped push Hitler's German army out of France. 75 years later, remnants of war slowly give way to weather and time.
The influence of that day lasted for the next 50 years.
Cyril Mathieu appreciates this history, a Minnesotan who grew up in France. A guy who travels the world selling fishing hooks.
I grew up in France. I traveled all around the world. It's an amazing, amazing place.
See, Cyril invited us to visit the country where he grew up. More importantly, to understand the legacy of all the hooks he sells. A story that starts in the French village of Morvillard, home to the Viard-Migeon Company, better known in the U.S. as VMC. VMC's machines eternally twist and turn out fishing hooks.
Quite a few. I mean, if you call 5 to 6 million hooks every day a lot.
The Viard family building hooks here more than 100 years. Long before fishing gear, they shaped horseshoes and iron nails. These days, the factory focuses solely on hooks.
They have a bunch of these machines doing the same thing. That's how they get to 6 million hooks a day.
Proprietary instruments first cut and shape wire. Each now looks like a hook, but doesn't quite act like one.
Quite big hook. I can bait it easily.
It's just wires still.
Yeah, very soft wire.
Workers use high heat to temper the metal.
This batch of hooks is now hardened. Just one problem, watch this. They are so hard, they are now brittle like glass. It takes another step now to temper them.
A second blast of heat does the trick.
So that's the next step. Prep them so they can receive their dressing.
By their dressing, he means the hook's color, which includes gold.
It's 18 karat gold. Yes.
No joke.
There must be a safe with gold.
Yeah, I cannot tell you.
Workers use chemicals and electroplating to color each hook. The most popular in the United States, right there, black nickel. Now completed, each hook goes before very discerning eyes. Workers inspect hooks individually and then weigh them up for packaging.
If they see something that they don't like, they will put it away before they finally close that box, put it in a bigger box that will end up traveling around the world. They will shine when they need to shine. They will disappear when they need to disappear. They will do what they're supposed to do.
Up next, Cyril and I test that theory in one of the prettiest places on Earth.
Look,
Oh, and in French fishing, a surprise awaits.
Yeah, it brings back good memory to be here. I would say 10 years we haven't fished together, so.
Reunion can be such a powerful thing.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers, by the Yard maintenance-free outdoor furniture, Running Aces Casino, Hotel and Racetrack, and by Aluma Craft Boats.
Welcome back to our Memorial Weekend special. Last spring, our friends at Rapala invited Bill Shirk to France to get a behind-the-scene look on how VMC hooks are made. With the factory tour complete, our friend and guide Cyril Mathieu has a fishy surprise in store.
Cyril Mathieu prefers life on the move.
So he's going to measure the width, the length, the height of the hook.
A Minnesota transplant who sells French-made VMC hooks all over the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Cyril invited us back to his homeland to better understand his French roots and the foundation of VMC.
This place is located in the most beautiful village in France called Morvillard. And we manufacture fish hooks here since 1906.
We fish a local haunt after wrapping up the factory tour. River Vandelin trickles through the French border town of Richezi, a village where Cyril's family chases a fish much coveted and just as tricky to fool. Cyril hoped I might catch a fish here, but this quick afternoon trip proves a poignant moment.
Yeah,
So much more important.
I would say 10 years we haven't fished together, so at least 10 years.
See, it's been a long time since Cyril and his brother walked the banks.
On the river like that, it's been a long, long time.
Oh, and behind them, that's Dad, a lifelong angler who taught his boys to fish in between long shifts building French cars. Fishing steered Cyril into the hook business, no doubt. But that industry also reeled him far away from France to live and work in Minnesota. Today's reunion, so long overdue. Watching Cyril, it is clear his heart still lives here.
I always have that question. What is it that you miss the most from France? I guess I never had the answer until today.
Tonight, we celebrate homecoming. Come morning, a quick flight and 3-hour drive lands us on the exact opposite end of France. In the near silent village of Poutange.
Short night for fishing are better than short night for working.
Gael Evan guides anglers, the guy who walks us down into Normandy's well-shadowed piece of paradise.
I mean, my eyes were just like, seriously, this is here?
The Orne River perpetually tumbles through a mystical maze of moss-covered rock.
So here there are really some decent size of fish.
Gael rigs up to fish in classic French style.
It's one of the most difficult fishing.
So it's called dock fishing.
The most simply, you only have leads, hook.
White dock.
Oh, that was one.
When you feel the bite, it's like, dunk, dunk, it's got a dock.
You feel it in the end?
Dock. So that's the dock.
Try just on the right, just in front of you.
It may look like a very basic type of fishing, actually take a lot of dexterity.
I have fished in many parts of the world, but this place and this visit will change me. As we leave the river behind,
Then the fleet started firing.
to tour the battlefields of World War II.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Maple Grove Lock and Safe, your premier Liberty safe dealer.
Today's episode is all about our special connection to the country of France. I never dreamed I would find myself in the heart of France's Normandy region, on the River Orne, where we try and lure in a little piece of magic.
In the French region of Normandy, minutes before sunrise, the River Orne speaks. No translation needed.
The sound, it's so quiet, it's just perfect. I love this place for that. Only birds, the river.
French fishing guide Gael Evan promised to share his favorite fish he haunt,
Perfect, perfect.
the Orne.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Cyril Mathieu and I hope to land a brown trout of any size.
Too fast?
No, it was good.
Fishing in Normandy, France. Unbelievable.
De bon matin. I love to show people the place where I'm fishing and yes, fish on.
It's a magical moment. It brings that smile and it's like, ah, yes. That's what I came for.
T'as vu la touche que ça fait?
It's amazing. They're wild, crazy fish, hard to catch. You know, you gotta go and get them. You have to deserve them. It's fun.
Good, that's good. Hold your road, let it go. Fish.
That is a fish.
Bring me the fish in the net if you want. I'm going here. Well done.
A small yet profound brown trout, so perfect, a memory made.
One of my favorite days. Great.
To be completely truthful, I consider our morning fishing trip nothing more than a quick diversion from the real reason Cyril and I visit Normandy. To understand is to follow the Orne 45 miles downstream to open water, where French soil touches the bitter salt water of the English Channel. The Normandy coast, a region where locals work the sea and visitors bury toes in clean sand beaches. Once the epicenter of world focus.
So here you can see the trenches, what remain of the German trenches.
Madame Nicole Sarda guides guests to Normandy's most profound remnants of war, these beaches of D-Day.
Many of the Germans were either on the beach or like here.
Understand that 75 years ago, Nazi German troops had taken over France. German soldiers, most of them under the age of 18, sat in concrete bunkers guarding this coast. Early on the morning of June 6, 1944, 18,000 Allied aircraft and ships dropped 150,000 soldiers around these beaches. Their single mission to take France back.
Suddenly you stand at the top of those, bunkers and look at the ocean, look at, the conditions that these guys had to go through to bring this freedom.
Haunting stories echo in every one of these long abandoned structures. Scars where D-Day rounds hit their mark, still so visible.
Well, freedom has a cost, it's very true, and you realize it when you get here.
The French chose to protect and promote this history.
And show the next generations, don't forget, don't make the same mistakes.
Up next, we pay tribute to the soldiers of D-Day.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut, Mountain Dew, Radco Truck Accessories, Bent Creek Golf Course, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Yes, the story of VMC hooked us. We came for the factory and French fishing, but stay for the view on the Normandy coast. The beaches, history simply too overwhelming to ignore.
The first to be dropped were the paratroopers in the east, the 6th Airborne, British Canadian.
Madame Nicole Sarda guides guests to Normandy's most profound D-Day monuments and memories.
All the bunkers, the anti-aircraft artillery, a lot of places to remember.
One of the world's biggest collections of D-Day artifacts sits in an area called Dead Man's Corner. The story of soldiers so up close and so personal. A lifetime collection of museum owner Emmanuel Alain.
I know what they did for us. It's probably the most important thing, you know. They came here, they were very young. They came here, jumped into the fight for our freedom.
To explore D-Day history is to understand how these people and this country pay tribute to Americans and American soldiers. Emotion, best expressed here. Normandy's American Cemetery sits just above Omaha Beach, meticulously built by the French and now maintained by the United States. U.S. soldiers forever rest above the D-Day battlefield. So many with roots forever tied to Minnesota.
The best divisions of our Lord.
The 9th Division.
Every marker, every person, a story. Like Elizabeth Richardson, a Red Cross worker and one of only 4 women buried here. Quentin and Theodore Jr., sons of U.S. President Roosevelt, buried beside each other.
A poignant fact about the setup here. Each of these 9,386 markers face west, slightly northwest. Each of them pointed towards the United States. What they say here pointed towards home.
The French also cared for German casualties, albeit in a very different manner. The cemetery at La Combe brings chills. 21,000 Nazi soldiers buried under rough stone crosses.
Average age, 17-year-old. You can tell that an entire generation was pretty much sacrificed.
The French landscape, the buildings this country rebuilt and celebrated after war.
It's mixed emotion. It's the joy to visit a free country, but realizing at what cost.
Normandy, now such a peaceful place. An inspiring trip in honor of those who came before us. Inspired by the people of France, who hope to forever share their story. A story shared by people proud of the past and, more importantly, the future. Think of it the next time you fish and see a hook. A tale inspired by VMC.
Wow, poignant history to be shared and certainly never forgotten.
A special thanks goes out to our friends at Rapala and VMC Hooks for inviting us to France to make this episode happen.
Well, that about does it for us. We'll see you back here next week.
In the meantime, introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.